goes to.
On the morning of November 9th, 1963, 2 weeks before JFK was assassinated, right-wing extremist Joseph Miltier was in a Miami hotel room talking with Willie Somerset, an undercover police informant who happened to be wearing a wire. This conversation was turned over to the FBI immediately, although it would not surface publicly until 4 years later. Here is what Miltier had to say. Kennedy's murder was in the working and would be accomplished from an office building with a high-powered rifle that could be disassembled to get it into the building, and they will pick someone up within hours if anything like that happened, just to throw the public off. Miltier also mentioned the Cubans were involved. Did you know JFK visited Miami within a few days of this conversation, and word of this potential assassination plot was well known to the local police, who enacted extra precautions to protect the president when he arrived on November 18? In fact, an even earlier assassination attempt had been planned for Chicago on November 2nd, but that plot had been foiled by someone named Lee. Coincidentally, 2 of the men involved in the Chicago plot were former Marines who'd been stationed at Atsugi, the same base where Lee Harvey Oswald was likely programmed by MKUltra-style brainwashing. After the Chicago plot was thwarted, the conspirators intended to kill JFK in Miami, and since the assassination was being run through the CIA's JM Wave Station there, that plan saved considerable on travel expenses. But after Miltier's comments became known by the local FBI, more stringent protection was afforded to protect the president. Strangely, zero precaution seems to have been taken to protect him a few days later in Dallas. This seems extremely suspicious given the precise details provided by Miltier. Maybe you know Frank Sturgis was accused by Marita Lorenz of driving a car with high-powered rifles and scopes in the trunk from Miami to Dallas right before the assassination. Apparently, they returned to Miami by plane the day before the assassination after delivering the weapons used to kill Kennedy. Immediately before and after the assassination, Miltier was contacted by the FBI and afterwards openly celebrated the president's death. He later told Somerset, "I guess you thought I was kidding when I said Kennedy would be killed from an office building with a high-powered rifle." Don Adams was the rookie FBI agent sent to interview Miltier before and after the assassination, although he was severely limited by his bosses to asking only 5 questions, which struck Adams as extremely odd given the situation. In fact, the FBI seemed more interested in sweeping this incident under a rug than exploring how Miltier got his information. Adams was supposed to determine where Miltier was during the assassination, but could not conclusively establish his whereabouts during that week. Adams would eventually write a book about his investigation, one that was severely critical of the Warren Commission. There's a photo of someone who looks like Miltier standing along the parade route in Daley Plaza, as if he'd come to watch the assassination. His fluffy hairstyle is unmistakable. So I'd imagine Miltier attended some sort of celebration later that day. Clint Murchison held a big one on his ranch, but I'm sure there were many others, as many on the right hated JFK with purple passion. But if you delve into Miltier's connections, you can uncover how he came to his inside information, because he was the leading right-wing organizer in Georgia and helped establish both the states' rights parties and the Constitution Party there. Among his cohorts was General Pedro Deval, the first Puerto Rican to rise to the top of the U.S. military and someone later put in charge of ITT in Latin America. Deval fought in the banana wars that made South and Central America more exploitable to Wall Street bankers. If you've been paying attention to my posts, you realize the John Birch Society played an important role in Kennedy's assassination. H.L.Hunt was a major source of funding for that organization, And if you delve into the Birchers, you find a mix of rich industrialists and high-ranking military. When the Pentagon was created right before World War II, they already knew a world war was coming, and the economic power in America shifted almost immediately to this newly formed military-industrial complex, the very alliance President Eisenhower warned us against while departing office. After World War II, the CIA, or American Gestapo, was created and became the covert military force responsible for assassinating heads of state around the world if they believed too much in democracy and were soft on communism. Did you know Henry Kissinger believed the Joint Chiefs were a bunch of dummies, easily manipulated through propaganda? One mystery for me is trying to figure out who on the right wing knew communism was a scam from day one, a complex set of dogmas used to mind control a generation so they could be more easily pitted against other dialectically driven oppositional forces like fascism and Christianity. Russia was a burnout shell with no spare parts after World War II, and not in a position to threaten the U.S. in any way, but they were transformed into this sinister boogeyman through propaganda.